Hi, I'm Stacy.
And I am Mark, and this is the Gurus and Game Changers podcast.
Hi, I'm Stacy Grant.
And I am Mark Labraggi, and today, a great guru and game changer, Miss Maddalena Palermo.
Hi.
Hi, Maddalena.
How are you?
It's so great to have you here. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
We're thrilled. This is a personal thrill for me. I've known Maddalena for a decade plus. And when we outlined the show, what is this about, guru, game changer, she has always led with kindness. She has always led with service and helping, just as a friend, as a neighbor, as a surrogate parent to my own son, because they sort of grew up together for a little while. And now her career has taken her into the world of being a guru and a game changer with her own coaching company called Wellbeing by Coaching. So I wanted to get her on. I wanted her to share not only what she's doing, of course, what you're doing, but the mindset of why you're doing it, right? And how your journey got here. Let's start there. Let's start with your journey. Walk us through, because I want everyone to hear your beautiful Italian voice.
My accent.
Yeah.
That I can't get rid of.
Don't do it. Never get rid of that accent.
I give up.
Take us through, like, when you first got here, when you came over.
Yes. So, wow. Seems yesterday, but it's not. It's been 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah. It was July 2002. I came here as a student. I didn't speak any English. I mean, a little bit, like basic stuff. But, I came here to learn English, basically. I walked into our office asking, I would like to learn English, maybe go to England or Ireland. That's what I expected. And then they asked, and they said, what about United States? I was like, I don't know if I can afford that. I was like, no, if you pass the test, everything is paid for. So I was like, okay, when do I do the test? What about now? And I did it. The reason why I came, it was to learn English. I was going to college. I was living in Milan at that point. And I was struggling because my parents didn't pay for college. So I was going to school and I was trying to study. And I felt like I was spinning the wheels. And I was working with this company, which is owned by Benetton. It's the fashion company. And I knew that if I wanted to advance with them, I needed to learn English. Like, everybody around me spoke English as a second language. And I was like, oh my God, I feel like I feel so like a fool. Why can I not be like them? So, but I didn't have the opportunity. So I had to create the opportunity. So that's why I came. So then I spent here a year, and then I tried really hard to avoid dating.
However,
after almost a year, I think, I came in July 2002. It was April 2003. I met my husband, what became my husband. And I basically walked into this house. I was teaching Italian to him.
your student.
Yeah, he was a student. Never learned that well. Yeah. But, so started dating him, but then I went back to Italy, for a couple of years. And then one day he just came, surprised me, and proposed.
Oh my goodness.
In Italy?
In Italy, in Florence, right outside my dorm room.
Wow.
Like, they called me out, said, somebody's waiting for you.
I didn't know that. That's awesome. In Florence.
Everybody was crying. All the girlfriends. It was like,
oh my gosh.
It's like a movie.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was great.
So wait, so he learned Italian so he could work in this Italian company?
Well, he was already working for an Italian company, but they did ask him gently. It would be good if you learn Italian. And I was just volunteering, teaching, just to do something more than what I was doing. And so the school sent me, basically, assigned me this student, and I went.
There he was.
3 serious lessons. We said, like, let's save the money.
How do you say, will you marry me in Italian?
Mi vuoi sposare?
Uh-huh.
So he did say that. He had it
Sposare.
written. He had it written in his hand.
He had it written on his hand.
I mean, every time I say
little
this,
backup plan, 2 words.
yeah, I know. Every time I say this story, everybody says, like, oh, he's so romantic, he's so great. I'm like, yeah, he is. Yeah,
He's a great guy.
he is.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So then you came back to the States.
Yeah, then
Started the
after
family.
a while,
Yep.
I came back, here, started a family. I had Nathan, right, my first. Didn't have a lot of support around. My family's in Italy, so I didn't feel comfortable doing anything outside the house, really. Then my struggle started it. So like we're talking all real stuff here. So I started struggling with anxiety. So it was very hard for me. Yeah. I started having panic attacks. So I think my first panic attack was Mother's Day of when my kid was 2 years old.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. It actually required hospitalization, yes. Yeah.
I didn't realize you went through it that
I
time.
wasn't living in Westchester.
This is when I first met you.
You know what? The funny story is, they said the Westchester, the hospital sent an ambulance, and the ambulance broke down, so they had to send another ambulance.
It's not like it was important.
So you had a panic attack and called the ambulance
My husband did, yeah.
because was he worried maybe you were having a heart
No,
attack?
I
or-
just could not walk.
Oh my gosh.
I was laying on the ground.
Was there any kind of like something that you were thinking about or something? Was there a
No.
reason?
It just hit me. It was midnight. My kid was asleep. Thank God he never slept, right?
So that's a big obstacle to overcome, anxiety.
It was.
Anxiety, depression?
Anxiety was main
But I
anxiety.
think-
Anxiety disorder, yeah.
I want to make it clear to people that this is when you have an anxiety attack or a panic attack, it is a real, you feel,
It's debilitating.
yeah, you absolutely can't, you couldn't walk. Like, and it manifests in people very different ways.
Yeah.
Some people feel like they're having a heart attack. Some people feel like they're, that there's something wrong with them, but they don't know what, and then you go to the hospital, and did they make you feel like it wasn't a thing, or did they?
They actually did a great job because I actually felt like, I was really paralyzed on the ground. So I just happened. I mean, I remember going to the refrigerator downstairs, and I was like, I think my blood pressure is going down because I was feeling like I was fainting. And then I got a piece of chocolate, but then I just dropped down. And I couldn't move, so I called my husband and said, like, look, I can't move. And I do feel, when I have that experience, I do feel like I can have an heart attack. Like, I do feel the physical.
I felt that.
Yes, the physical pain. And it is very much a real thing. And, of course, now I know how to deal with it. But
Was it a process of coming back, or did you start to feel better instantly at some point?
no, I
or
went to the
a
hospital.
realization?
Oh, you mean after?
Just overall, just returning back
No,
to
I had to
being-
work on
You had to work on it.
Yes, I had to work on. That's all my journey. That's all the way to today to coaching because I do.
You draw on that, I'm sure.
Yes, what stands in the way becomes the way. Marcus Aurelius
right,
says
right.
that,
Oh,
and
nice.
that's exactly my story.
So here's the
Stands
thing,
in
the-
the way becomes the way.
Yes, there's the breakdown before the breakthrough.
Yeah.
I don't think you
Ooh.
can break through if you
Love
don't
that.
really experience that. And, I know sometimes it can feel like a cliche, but it is not.
Yeah.
The learning comes from, something that it's really, deep and feels so real to us. And for me, one of my values is authenticity. So I talk about this very openly, even when I coach people. In the moment, I don't share my own experience when I coach, but when I create rapport with people, in the meantime, I do share that because it's very important to underline the common humanity. We're all in this together. There is not a manual. It seems easy. Maybe we make it look easy, but it's not easy. Sometimes it takes a real effort, and it has to be intentional. Waking up and do the work. After having that experience, my first panic attack, I had others after that.
Right.
I haven't had one in 2 years, but I went to the doctor. Of course, they prescribe you.
I was just going to ask,
Yeah.
what's the
What
protocol?
Xanax?
Yeah, they give you
that's
Xanax.
the magic pill, right? But however, I did not take it
Wow.
because I have it with me. Like I wouldn't with panic
Right, it's an
attack.
emergency.
Yes, like if I'm on the plane, I really feel like, why do I put myself through this? Okay, just take it.
Yeah.
But I knew that was not sustainable for me. I didn't want to become, dependent on it. And so, I went to counseling, I did therapy, and then I discovered coaching, and they both helped me.
Yeah.
But I really feel my soul recovered once I discovered who I was, and I started to act on it.
Wow.
So,
That's the wellness and coaching.
yes.
When you found
So
a
that's-
purpose.
Yes, I discovered who I was.
Right.
So I can really, define what my purpose was.
But that's relatively new in your life.
3 years.
Right.
Since COVID.
Oh my God,
COVID
has it been 3 years?
Yeah.
Because prior to that, I don't know if you knew this, but
Yes.
Maddalena was a handbag designer. Like
I was.
full on successful handbag designer.
Yeah.
Lots of my wife is one of her customers, actually multiple times over.
She is.
But
She was.
But I mean, you have all your sources, Italian leather. She was
Yeah.
manufacturing overseas, the whole thing. I
Wow.
mean, she was a full-on handbag designer, but COVID took its toll, and you decided to move in the direction of what's more true for you.
Yes. You know, I had a name for my business in 2014 for coaching, right when I started my other business. And I just didn't have the courage to act on it. Okay, now I either have to be 100% in and just risk everything and do it, or get out. And I was like, you know what? Everybody's pivoting around me. Like I was looking at this amazing people that I know we have some people in common, you know, around this area. They were doing great things. And it was time for me to get on camera and just sell my own bags. But I couldn't do it. Besides, I was like, where are people going with handbags? Nobody's going anywhere right now. But also I felt that guilt of why am I pushing people to buy something when it's really so bad? And it just, you know, and then I stumbled upon positive psychology. Really.
How did you stumble upon?
I was actually, through a fashion event, we were asked to do a strength survey, which is called the VIA survey now, which is something I do with my clients all the time. And so evidence-based, there's a lot of research behind it. And so it's like a test, but more than a psychological test. Like it really gives you a picture of who you are. What are your signature strengths? Who are you? What are your talents, your values? So I took it, and suddenly I had black and white who I was.
Oh my gosh.
My top 5 signature strengths.
I was just looking
Do you
for
want to know them?
Yes, let's hear them.
Let's hear
I
'em.
want to hear them.
Kindness.
Kindness.
That was the first. Creativity. Curiosity.
Sounds right.
Fairness. Perspective. And I was shocked. Honesty was at the bottom. I was like, what's happening here? So I asked, is this thing for real? I mean, like, I agree with all these great things on the top.
Not the negative thing.
But the honesty, you know, like, and they explained to me, and it was life-changing for me. It was like, this is a picture of who you are. The signature strengths is your default state. Those are things that you do and you don't have to think about it. It's just who you are, the way you show up naturally. The one that are at the bottom, which are 24 strengths, but it's not that you don't have them, but you apply them selectively. I was like, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So kindness trumps that situation,
makes sense.
honesty.
Oh,
That's why I came up
wow.
with
So
top.
yeah, I don't want to hurt
Top and
anybody's
bottom.
feelings.
When it becomes brutal honesty.
yeah, that's
It's not your go-to.
Yeah, I'm direct. I always say to my clients too, what kind of feedback do you want? How do you want it? Because I'm a direct person, but I will lose heart with the heat. Like I'll be direct, but I'll always be gentle and kindness.
Heart with the
Kind,
heat.
yeah.
I like that. Heart with the heat.
Heart with a heat. That's really cool.
So you went back to school. You have a master's
Yes.
in
Yes, Alpha Wellness Coaching
health and wellness coaching, and you're the resident health and wellness
coach.
at
Lankenau, yeah.
Hospital.
I work part-time with Mainline Health, yeah. Physician well-being is something new. COVID really shined the light on it. Not just some physician, in general, healthcare. The percentage is close to 50% of healthcare workers, they want to quit their jobs because...
As a result of COVID.
Yes, but
What they went
also,
through.
yeah, COVID has just made it worse.
Okay.
So, but really, you know, their work-life balance, it's really...
It's tough.
Yes, it's not there sometimes. And for physician, you know, I think, you know, they naturally felt that it's just part of the job and they have to accept what it is. And so there's a lot of perfectionism that goes, you know, that's part of the culture. You have to be great. You have to be resilient. You have to be able to show empathy, but also be objective and be, you know, stoic.
Yeah.
And so that's a lot for a person to endure, you know? And so I think for a long time, they take that for granted. And so, you know, residency in particular is very, you know, it's a time where those are young doctors they're starting their careers, but they're also starting their life. They're around, late 20s, 30s. And so some of them are getting married. Some physicians are getting pregnant. They're having kids. On top of completing their, education, starting work as doctors, being supervised constantly, receiving feedback, that is a lot for any human being. And so the research shows that they really struggle. And they struggle in silence because they thought, that's just what it is. But it's not. And before COVID and during COVID, there's been episodes of people, having suicidal thoughts, or there are some example of people committed suicide during COVID. And so you really have to know who you are and what your vision is long term, and you have to endure the process together if you're married. And so you have to be, most of these people marry their career. You have to. They work.
Yeah, it's a lot.
80 hours a week.
Wow. Right.
I mean, in the past, they used to work 100 hours a week. I mean, and we're talking about, self-care, well-being, wellness.
Yeah.
What's that?
No time for that.
Yeah. So, so it's great, Lancanal, it's a great environment, and they're really trying to, take action. And I'm part of this process.
Yeah. Do you have a success story that you could share? Obviously,
about them?
Just keeping someone's name out of it, but
I can share that. I can share community. Even it's great because Maddalena Alpha asks me where I'm seeing, so they see me directly. They book with me directly. Nobody knows who I'm seeing, when I'm seeing, how
That's
often
great.
I'm seeing.
It's all kind of a little bit anonymous, so people don't feel
but not because stereotyping mental health is still a big deal, and that's why I always say I'm Maddalena Palermo, I have anxiety. It's like I say it. So just because I want to normalize the conversation, right?
Sure.
But in an environment like that, it's harder. And so it's up to them to decide what they want to share, not up to me. But as I think one thing that I find that it's great is those people are not used to be listened to. So I'm there to listen to them. And that's the best thing I can do. And so when they listen to themselves, they suddenly become aware of how deep, whatever they're experiencing. And it becomes really real in that moment. So I have people laughing, crying with me. But I think one of the best things was I met one person, and it was a great meeting. And I'm going to use the they, so I don't identify if it's a girl or guy. So they said, I was going to meet you, and then I was never going to see you again. Because the first meeting is mandatory. Just because they have to be aware of the resource. They have to understand what coaching is, and most of them don't. So they come into the meeting, and at the end, that's what they said. I was going to come here because they told me to and never meet you again. But now I'm going to see you again.
There's value.
Yes.
That's
Immediate
great.
value.
Have you seen progress in some of the people that you've worked with in terms of they came to you, maybe they didn't even think they needed to be there. And by the end of their sessions, they were more able to feel healthy and be happier, or, at least maintain sort of non-anxiety states. Because I have anxiety too. I really do. So my kids do too.
Yeah.
It's so prevalent now. I don't know if it's just because people are talking about it, but you can't really talk about it that much still, especially as a doctor. I can't even imagine.
Yeah. There's a lot going on there. There are different things. There are imposter syndrome, believe it or not.
Right. Oh, yeah.
And
Chief of staff, and they're like, what am I doing
yes,
here? Why am I here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And especially after residence and fellowship, they're just like, okay, now I'm on my own. Now I'm a doctor. Now it's up to me, right?
Right.
That's a lot. And so, yeah, as far as let's see some success stories. There's been a movement. I just started in January, so I'm still new to this particular group. I had a few success stories outside residencies, with my private clients, and which I volunteered for most of the time to people that are.
That's nice of you.
Yeah, people that are underserved. So also people that are in another part of the world.
Right.
And when I feel about success story, I feel about this, I think about this woman, and she's in the Philippines. Amazing human being. She's very successful. She's very, talented. And she was diagnosed with bipolar. And she goes to therapy. She takes medications. But then she felt that coaching was also something she needed to do, because she needed to be disciplined about the way she lived her daily life. So exercising, because it's not just about medication. No matter what you have, what you struggle, and that's part of health coaching, right? Is you have to make changes. They are sustainable, so that you can live that healthy lifestyle for the long run. It's not just about the quick pill, because the pill will help, but then you have to endorse that lifestyle and say, this is what it's possible for me. And I'm not saying everybody has to be ultra fit and go to the gym every day for an hour. That is not feasible for everybody. So what I say is whatever works for you. And so this person, was really struggling, and but that's the review. On my resume, I shared it with you. There is a testimonial. That's our testimonial.
What did she say?
She said I was the light, I guess, in the lighthouse.
You were her guiding light?
Yes, that really kind of helped her.
Oh, Maddalena, that's so beautiful. And
hers is a genuine kindness rare people possess. And above all, the ingenuity of her skills is way beyond what I expected. She always goes over and beyond her duties with her tender yet vibrant personality. That's a great description. That's, remarkable. I mean, there's so much in here.
Oh.
It's wonderful.
So if someone comes to you, so now you're working at Mainline Health, but are you also still in private practice as well?
Yeah, I do. I'm building my private practice.
You're building your private practice.
Yes.
So if listeners, we're going to have a ton of listeners, right, Mark? There's going to be a ton of people listening to this. I would say, just it's prevalent anxiety in the world right now. So if they're looking for help, what would they need to do? And how would you decide if you're the right person for them, or if they should maybe go to a psychologist or a psychiatrist, or, so there's differences between the coaching industry and, being a medical doctor and even being a counselor. And there's differences in psychology too.
Yes. So coaching can be a great tool for certain people, a great journey. But when we talk about mental illness, then that's the therapy space. So the therapy space is diagnostic, it's therapeutic, it's about uncovering to recover. And so when there are issues that are, I would say, due to trauma, but also dysfunctionality, pathology, that is the space for therapy.
So if someone comes to you and they're like, things have happened in my past.
Yeah, we don't discuss that.
Traumatic.
Yes,
okay.
We don't go there.
Okay.
So that being said, it's somebody comes to me and wants to discuss their past. I'm like, we're not that's not the space for coaching, because coaching is about the present and the future. Therapy is the space for the past and the trauma. However, I will always make sure that that person is in counseling if wants to be seeing me. And sometimes I even ask them, talk to your therapist or your counselor, see if coaching is a good fit for you while you're also in therapy. And so we always have that conversation at the beginning with anybody, like, this is how coaching can help you. These are the differences with therapy. So the space for coaching is for people that are languishing. So they are not suffering from mental illness, but they feel like they're not thriving.
Okay.
They're not doing well. They're stuck.
That's
So
a great
why do you
delineation.
find that to be the case? Is it they can't define their purpose? They can't find their purpose? Or they have dreams with no action? Or they, maybe procrastination sort of tied to that? Or is there one that you're finding more than everything else?
All of those.
I guess everybody's different, of course.
like you could be a
Everybody's
coach, Mark.
different. Yes, but all of those. So there are people that come to coaching with the idea that I'm going to tell them how to live their life, because I'm also a life coach. I'm a life academic and health and wellness coach, but I call myself a well-being coach.
Yeah.
And the
More
reason why I
holistic.
call myself a well-being coach, because well-being is multidimensional. So there's spiritual well-being, financial well-being, physical, emotional
Got it.
well-being. So I want to help my clients from on a holistic perspective and integrative perspective. So when they come to me, I ask them, what's working in your life and what's not working? What is your vision? And what have you done so far to get there? So some people are stuck because really don't have an idea. Some people are just been in this state of mind where, they live in their life and they're almost checked out. It's like, okay, this is what it is, and I'm okay with that. But then when you start asking questions, they're not really okay with that. And so anxiety can also be a consequence of a lack of integrity. And that was my situation. And when I use the term integrity, I don't use it from a moral standpoint. I use it from the standpoint of not feeling that you're whole,
Wow.
that you are divided.
Got it.
So there is a great book. It's called The Way of Integrity by Martha Beck. And she studies sociology at Harvard, and she's a life coach. Talking about gurus, she's one of her book is amazing. And so her book is The Way of Integrity, Finding Your Path to Your True Self.
I will be reading that right after we
Yes.
finish this podcast.
It's great. And so she says integrity is really used in the Latin way, which is the etymology of the word integer, to be whole. So she described in the book like how suffering is sometimes a symptom of the way we feel. We are crushed, we are divided, because we're constantly struggling between who we naturally are versus who the society and culture tells us we should be. And so this struggle becomes, we almost accept it like it's what it is. Yeah, I was born, I wanted to do this, but, life happens and that's it. And so for me, that was the case. So anxiety, it wasn't just due to the fact that I was a new mom and, there was a lot of responsibility, and I was living in the United States. I have to reinvent myself, get a driver's license, everything from scratch, right? And just make a name for myself, So that was a lot. And my husband was traveling a lot at that point. I was always alone in the house. I had 2 dogs, Mark. I'm a dog person, so. I love dogs. Yes. I just talk to my dogs all day.
The best, right?
Yeah,
You need
right.
a life coach if you're talking to your dogs.
They don't talk back. They're not like kids.
They just snuggle. They're
Yes.
the best.
So, and also the fact that I had to decide, okay, what do I want to do with myself? Now I'm here. This is the land of opportunity. What does that mean to me?
And that's pressure too. Like here you are, like you need to somehow perform because you're in the land of opportunity.
Yes, there is a pressure there. And I always felt that I was meant to be here.
Right.
Honestly, I was always very ambitious. I didn't feel Italian that way. Like, yeah, I'm a laid back. I love to have fun, enjoy my coffee, the lunch, lounge with a coffee cup with my friends, talking. That's great. But I'm also very self-driven. Like I always had this spark within me to want to do more. And so integrity for me meant that I had to respect that. And I didn't feel like I was doing that. Yes, I was building a family, and that was great, and that's part of who I am, and that's one of my priorities. But I also had to really shine a light on who I was even before I got married. And I was somebody that, I just got up and go. I got up and went, and now I get up and go, right? And I lost a little bit of that on the way. I became like, oh, should I really do that? Why?
So like when you come to America, I understand the mentality of being here, but did you leave family there? And did you grow up in a big family? Did you have kids, brothers and sisters? And what's your parents like? Because I find when we interview people here who are their own gurus, which you are, they have very strong family, either family ties are strong or they learn to be strong as a result of their family. So which category do you fall in?
Good question.
Well, it's a great question. And it's a lot there. This is a Pandora box you're opening.
We're unpacking a lot here. We might have to do part 2, Maddalena.
Yes, right. That's all another chapter. But let's see. How do I say that? Well, I do have a good family. It's not big. But it's not, I wouldn't say it's a family. Let's see. Dynamics were not always functioning at the best level. Very dysfunctional family, yes.
We're all familiar with that on some levels.
Right,
yeah,
right. And so, I talk about that too. My parents were together when I was growing up. It was not an happy marriage, so I witnessed that. They divorced. Actually, like last year, but but they've been separated for almost 18 years.
Yeah.
And I'm the only one that speaks to my father and my family.
Wow.
So,
What did he do for a living?
He was an entrepreneur. He's an entrepreneur, but he was, he has his own life story. He needs to write a book too. But, he was a child of he was born from an affair.
Oh, okay.
So he didn't have a typical family, and his father recognized him here later, and so he's got a brother and sister, which now are my aunts and uncles that I love and all that. But he has never. That is a story where somebody that never really took a look to their life with honesty.
No self-awareness.
Yes, no self-awareness, correct. And so he's a person that's destined to repeat his own mistakes, and you can't save him. Some people you just can't save them,
right? Sure.
And
that's hard. That's a hard thing to learn.
It is
for somebody you love, for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
So I had a strong family, some ways, but talking about gurus and talking about philosophy books, that was my thing. I always say to my kids, and if that's one thing I want to share with everybody, is that wealth is not just about money.
Yeah, that's great.
It's about knowledge and experience, and opportunities is not just about open doors. It's about exposure, being exposed, and expose others to different things. You can't know who you are if you don't know what the alternatives are. What is up there for me? So I didn't have that. I grew up in a small town, and everybody did basic jobs. Of course there were professionals, but they were like the stars of the town. A town, everybody knows everybody. And I always knew that I didn't want to live there.
You never felt like you fit in that town?
I wanted to get out. Like in middle school, I was like, get me out of here. And my mom's like, where are you going? I was like, I don't want to live here. But
you felt like there was more in the world?
Yes, absolutely.
So it's crazy for a kid to understand that, right? Because...
But, Italy is glamorous. But living in Italy, in small town, it's not that glamorous.
Right.
It's really, and I say that it's not being critical. It's just, it wouldn't work for me.
Right.
You have to be content with just that.
Just certain things.
Yeah, I feel like for me, it would be like once I'm finished with all my things that I'm doing, that then I will go there and be content.
Yes.
Like that's kind of like the way that I think about talk about vision,
But I do incorporate that being Italian in my idea of well-being. We need balance, and I'm just starting to meditate.
I need to learn how to do that. I'm terrible. It's so good for you.
It is good, and when you learn mindfulness, one thing that you learn is stop striving, stop always like push. And that is great. Like, I love that feeling of feeling busy and you're working towards a goal, but it can't always be, I will be leaving next year after I achieve this. That's when my life is going to be great. It can't be that.
Yeah, true.
That's why one of my favorite quote from Buddha is, be where you are, otherwise you'll miss your life. And for me, that's the balance. I want to be goal-driven. I want to work towards something, but I also want to enjoy life now.
I just want to go back to one point, unless you have a question. The hard driving people, like Mark and I probably are, you know, like that we go. Like I've read all Eckhart Tolle's books. I try to stay present. I try to, you know, what do you tell someone who comes into your office and you see it? They don't see it. They have no self-awareness around the fact that they don't stop. They don't smell the roses. They don't hug their kids enough. How do you...
Well, questioning, because we as coaches, we are not supposed to tell them.
I know.
We're supposed to guide them, right? But you know, when somebody like that comes to, you know, coaching session, the question is always, how's that working out for you?
I love those questions. I have a therapist. Sometimes I hear these things and I'm like, I don't even answer the question. I'm like,
That's an
I just
unfair
shake my
question,
head, like,
damn it.
yeah, yes.
Yeah. I mean, and again, like, I have some people come to me and say, like, look, I bench on Netflix to relax. I'm like, how does it feel? Does it work for you? Yes, then fine. I'm not here from a place of judgment telling you that you should be going to the gym or read self-development books. No, it's what is your vision? What do you envision for yourself? Nobody should put that on you. You put that on you. And if you didn't and you feel guilty about it, then explore that. Or if you feel too much pressure because you have this vision and sometimes it's like, oh my God, it's too much for me as well, then maybe you have to pace yourself. Like, that was a word I learned during COVID. Pace yourself. Because suddenly when I closed my company, I was like, okay, I'm going back to school. I'm going to do all those things. And now, you know, I was in that rush. And then I was like, okay, chill. You know, nobody's going anywhere now. So, you know, pace yourself. So I had to learn that. And so pacing is important. And presence. If there was one thing I'll share with my client when at the right time is presence comes from practice. Our brain is wired for negativity. And so there's what's called the negative bias. We are so easy to lean on our negative thoughts. It's like somebody when it gives you feedback, they tell you, well, Mark, you were excellent today, but I wish you did. All you remember is what happened after the but, right?
Yeah.
They could tell you you're the best, but that's where your mind stays on. So, you know, when somebody comes to, you know, coaching, it's like, okay, we can talk about what happens after the but, because that's where the juicy stuff is. That's probably why you're there. But at the same time, as a positive psychology-based coach, that's my approach. It's like, who are you? What do you want? And how much of that are you actually honoring in your life now? What are you doing about that dream that you have? And so to balance that, what I need to do better, all that, with the positive. And so bringing awareness that those little things, they don't just matter because, you know, they're inherently important, but they really have a power to offset the negativity. And so science, the research says that we actually need 3 positive to offset a negative. And it's
hard to find.
Yeah, and it's important to savor those positives because our experience, they don't just become memories, they become who we are. They become our behavior. They become our habits. And so you need to be intentional about those little things and positive things because you want that to be part of who you are. And they have the power to restore hope and positive emotions.
You know, it's funny. We had a gentleman named Brandon DeShields on in one of our episodes. And he and I, we agreed on this, that people will congratulate him. Hey, you did a great job, or you achieved that goal that you were trying to go after. And he didn't see it as a positive. He saw it as, I was supposed to do that. Like, of course, you can congratulate me, but I'm not resting on the accolades of that because that was part of my plan. So he's not giving himself the positives or the kudos, right? Because like, well, of course I open my own business because that's what I'm supposed to do. And then he's right on to the next one. And I share that mindset. People say, hey, you did a really good job. That's what I'm supposed to do. I don't know where this supposed to comes from, but I know you're saying it's coming from in here. And you're just on this never-ending loop.
Yes. And we see that in coaching all the time.
Yeah.
Residents, I mean, those are high.
Exactly.
There are people that are achieving a lot, and they still feel like, I should be doing more. I should be better. This idea of perfection that is, it's unattainable. And we put in front of us those goals for us, which is great because they keep us accountable and all that. But, well-being, it's not an outcome. It's about the process. And so you can't forget yourself. You can't lose yourself in your dream. And look, I'm guilty of that. I don't celebrate anything. I don't. I really have, and I grew up in a family that didn't celebrate anything. Like I was always a great student. Nobody's ever, professors would say to my mom, teachers would say to my mom, oh, you don't need to come. She's great. That was the conversation.
Parent-teacher conference.
That was the
good.
and that was bad.
Yeah.
That was bad because they will say to my mom, she's so smart. And now I'm thinking that I'm doing all this because I'm smart, not because I work hard. So now I'm like, the moment that I fail, which everybody does, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm not as smart as they thought I was. Now this is like, that's imposter syndrome. So like, everybody's going to find out that I'm this imposter. I don't know as much as I should be knowing and by now. And so we have to get out of there.
Yeah.
Can I be a little controversial and ask
Absolutely.
you, have you had a failure that you want to tell us
God.
about? Because I feel like our audience really learns from, you've done so many fantastic, phenomenal things, obviously. But how do you crawl out of the gutter when when you're crushed because something didn't go the way you'd planned? How do you get back to yourself? And
I think for me, the biggest failure was not trying. There's been a period of time where I stopped trying, and that's when anxiety kicked in. I've always worked hard at everything. And going back to your other question about family, they didn't ask me, but I just did it. And I love working hard. I'm a learner. Somebody asked me who you are. I'm a learner. My beginner's mindset is my mindset.
just look at your LinkedIn. There's 4,000 degrees.
She's a learner.
I just said to my husband, I need another one. But, he's like, okay. Okay. But, reality is that learning yourself is really the biggest quest. And so, for me, failure was really when I knew I could achieve a lot. And when at one point in my life, I felt that wasn't happening. And it wasn't happening not because I got unlucky, because I was set up. Yeah, there were setbacks, financial setback and things like that. But it was me. I stopped believing. I stopped really believing. And one of the things that really kind of like was a big setback for me, and it was perceived as a big failure, is that, I was really struggling in college. And not because of my grades. My grades was always great. That was the first time I started to experience some anxiety, but at that point I didn't know what it was because of that perfectionism.
Yeah.
So I think failure, you learn from, right? That's like, if you can turn a failure into a learning, like my dad would always just say, whenever I failed, he would be like, great.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Congrats.
I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I am like in a puddle right now. Like, I failed that thing, or I missed that shot at the net in tennis, or whatever happened. Like, and he's like, that's fantastic that you did that. I'm like, why? He's like, because you learn from that. You don't learn from doing something right all the time. So what did you learn from that situation?
Well, what you just described, it was what we call growth mindset versus a fixed mindset. I had a very much fixed mindset.
You did?
Oh, yeah.
I can't imagine that.
Oh, yeah. I just thought that I was good and bad. But, I grew up, nothing wrong, but I grew up in a very Catholic environment when the punishment is part of the,
Part of the religion.
It's what it is. And, and my parents never had that kind of speech with me. It was like, you work hard, that's it. We don't want to hear anything else.
Sounds right.
And my father was present, not present. Like he always delegated my mom to do anything. He worked and my mom was with us. And, and then he was off doing other things too, fun things that don't involve family or a married man. But, but what I learned from him was, nobody showed him the way.
Right. He did the best he could with the
Yes.
brain that he had and the
he
upbringing
did.
that he had. And
Yes. And so so at that point I said, like, I don't have to cry here about what I don't have. I just have to make it happen for myself. And so that's why, going back to that concept of wealth, like I'm open to leave to my kids not just a better financial situation that I was in, but also more experience passed down to them, indirect experience, more knowledge, things like that. And say, like, look, I can empower you. Here's the backpack. I'll pass it to you. Now do whatever you want to do and go. Take it whatever you want to take it. So for me, failure really taught me that, it feels bad.
doesn't it?
But you have to stay there. You got to feel it. Like the breakdown, stay down, feel it. Some people says like, oh, just shake it off and keep going. No, just feel it. Feel. And then once you feel it, then it's okay. Now I dissected this in any possible way. I understand it. Now I take this
to the autopsy.
Yes. People like to say everything happens for a reason. I don't know if that's true, but everything has a purpose. So I always say in coaching, there is a space where you learn the meaning of what happens to you. Or what has happened to you. It's a discovery. It's like you go to therapy and you discover, your sufferings and the reason why, how can you recover? But then when you go to coaching, I always say, now you have that knowledge. Now what are you going to do with that? But it's goes back to be whole, be holistic, right? Yeah. You have to realize what is the pain coming from for you? You're a man and a woman, and just be courageous. Say, yeah, I am not doing that great. Now, does that mean, is that a judgment on my character or on how well I'm doing? No, because I'm still committed to my journey. However, I do have to ask for help. And there is no shame in that, because everybody needs help at some point in life. And well-being is not static. It fluctuates. So, and it's on the spectrum. And so one day you're doing great. One day something bad happened. You take the hit. Now you take the hit. What do you do with that? So you have to reflect on. And so having conversation with men and with your kids, boys. I have 2 boys, so I always say God send me 2 boys because I know how to handle it. Because I would have loved a little girl, but I can handle boys. But that's what I'm trying to teach them. It's okay to talk about, this is not working out. This
and
is
ask for help.
Yes, and you have to be courageous. And you have to be proud of that. You should feel proud that you're naming the feelings. Let's name the feeling. What do you feel now? I'm angry, I'm frustrated. It's a part of our human experience. It doesn't matter if you're a man, a woman, or you're a doctor or whatever. That doesn't say anything less or more about your achievements. It doesn't take it away from it.
I have one question for you that we asked yesterday that I really, really love. And, if you answer this question and you don't want to use it on the podcast, you can tell, we can edit it out. The question is, what is one thing about you that no one knows that you can tell us and our listeners?
Well, I wish a lot of Golden Girls, but I think
I love it.
People around me know that. My husband knows that. That's my distress. That's what I
have a friend who does the same thing. Golden Girls on repeat.
Yes, it's there's a lot of wisdom there.
There is.
Okay.
So
I'll take your word for it.
Something that I'm shy. Some people don't know I'm shy. Yes, I am. Well, I know.
See, you don't even know that.
I'm going to call BS on something here.
I hide it well. Fake until you make it.
Are you like
fair.
An adapted introvert kind of thing?
Yes,
I'm the same.
Yeah. Like, I love to dance. So I'm saying, like, if there is a dance floor, I'll dance.
What kind of dancing?
Oh, I do everything.
Oh, we got to go dancing.
Gotta move this table.
I love dancing, Latin, whatever it is, I'll do it. That was actually my wish growing up, but then it got cut out because living in a small town, closed out. The dance school closed.
Do you dance now? Dance school?
With your
No,
dogs?
I
while you
want
talk
to.
about
I want to go
Zumba?
back. I want to go back to Latin dance. And I have a
Yeah.
great friend of mine that does that.
Nice.
So I want to go back to do that with her as soon as I have more time. But I just feel that I do have to push myself to put myself out there. I like to talk, but I don't like to talk necessarily about me.
Right. Yeah.
Like if you ask me a question, I'll tell you my life. I mean, I'm really authentic, but I am not good at self-promoting myself. It's
Right.
not, Mark, you've asked me a lot of time, like, it's not that I doubt myself, that it is not value who I am. I know I have a lot to give, but I'm not a promoter.
Yeah.
So, I kind of I like the questions and I like to answer it, but I really, and people that come close to me, they get to know me. They know that it's part of not celebrating things. There's a little bit of being shy, and there's a little bit about, look, my work would speak for me.
Yes. And that's a lot like my husband right there. The same thing. I'll be like, why don't you tell them that you have 2,200 skydives or something? He's
Wow.
like, they don't
That's
even know
impressive.
that. Or whatever it is about him that, is fantastic that I think. And he's like, they'll figure it out if they want to talk to me, and that's which I think is confidence. I really think that's like a deep, deep confidence. So how can we get the word out about your business, and how can we get in touch with you, and how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Well, you have a website there, wellbeingbycoaching.com. That's my website.
Wellbeingbycoaching.com.
And then the email is info@wellbeingbycoaching.com. But you also can message me on Facebook.
And you coach people all over the world.
Yeah,
All over the world, via
and
Zoom?
for free right now. Remember,
don't do it for free.
No, but this is for people that can afford.
Oh, okay. That's fine. That's
and
perfect.
I do love. This is what I really want to do in my business, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm just starting out like this year. But I really want to partner with nonprofits.
Oh, I love that.
And this is my way to give back.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yes, I want to work, and people can afford it, coaching. That's great. But there are a lot of people that can't afford coaching.
Yes, that need
And
it desperately. Yeah.
Yes, and they're confused, and they're not, again, part of that wealth. They don't have. Nobody's told them.
Yeah.
This is up for you. Look, you can do this.
Yeah.
You can explore that. So
Right.
for me, that is huge.
Yeah.
That's my way. That's what I feel fulfill my purpose.
That's fantastic. And it makes you feel better.
Yes.
One other real selfish question. Are you still teaching Italian?
No.
Okay. No, you're not teaching Italian.
Now to my kids, I try
What's
to.
the best way to learn the language?
Oh, well,
Do you
go there.
go over there?
Go there. Yeah.
I have these CDs that they say they work,
Really?
but yeah. There's
Well-
actual CDs. I mean, they still make them.
Wow.
I got to find a place to play them.
Podcasts are great, actually.
okay.
I'm trying to improve my Spanish. I do listen to podcasts in Spanish. Here's the thing. Again, it's about who you are, the way
Right.
you learn. Do you learn by listening? Do you learn by doing? Do you love by writing,
visual
reading?
lear-
Yes,
yeah.
exactly. So, of course, going there in a place where the language is spoken.
I mean, I wish.
Yeah, right. That kind of speeds up the process because you're forced.
Well, this has been so wonderful, having you here. I've learned so much. I have to call you and get some more information. Like, I feel like we're probably sisters from another mister.
And I heard you play tennis, so that's a
I
good
do
thing.
play a little bit of tennis. Do you play tennis?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't played in a minute. I got to be honest. But
Oh, I learned later in life, but I
you probably kill it.
am committed to the game. And now today I'm playing
That's your
pickleball.
personality, though.
I want to play
You throw
pickleball
yourself
too.
into things.
Yeah, everyone's loving pickleball.
Yeah, I just started it. I'm not a fanatic about it. I mean,
I
like
heard the racket's not
it
quite
is.
as satisfying. Like
No,
it's not like that.
you
same
really got to go hard
feeling.
on it. I mean, I prefer tennis, but pickleball is great because you can play with your kids. You can play different levels. Yeah. So again, another thing I'm endorsing. I'm trying to learn. I'm reading books about it. How to improve your forehand.
You're a steadier.
Yeah.
Steadier.
She's a learner. I think
I
you got
am.
that, right?
Yeah.
She's a learner.
But
I
thank
love
you
you for it.
Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's such a
It's
pleasure.
been really
been great.
wonderful.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
As long as I don't see myself on camera, that's good.
Well,
You will.
you will.
Others will.
And you're going to look beautiful, right, Eric?
Thank you.
Eric's
Please.
got
Oh
you.
my gosh.
Yeah, you look good on camera. Camera loves you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
You too.
Talk soon.